Today, we're talking about one of my favorite topics, the introvert. The introvert. Just as a rule to kind of start, I want to share a definition of what the introvert is. Some people feel confused about the definition of introvert, extrovert. Some people think that, well, an extrovert is somebody who's really gregarious and the introvert is somebody who's super shy. Really, what it's about is where you recharge your battery. An introvert is someone who recharges their sort of internal, emotional, psychological battery by having some quiet, solitary time, where an extrovert is an extrovert because they get charged, they recharge their battery by being around people, by being in relation to and connected to people. One isn't better than the other. We all are who we are. It's just a part of our personality, and it is something that's fairly stable over the lifetime. So, in this video, I want to talk about something that I think is relevant to a lot of people in a work environment when it comes to the relationships they have at work. Specifically, I'm talking about the introvert at work. So it's kind of funny. An introvert is one thing when they're in their social life. Introverts will have their friends, they may have romantic partners in their personal life, right? And yet when they get to work, it's kind of a different situation because they don't choose the people that they work with. And in fact, they're not necessarily the most social or group oriented people to begin with because they're introverts. So you put an introvert at work and it can kind of put them in a funny situation. Sometimes introverts at work will feel uncomfortable forming relationships with people or not really know or feel exactly at ease interacting in work meetings or in a lot of social gatherings. People get together after work or maybe go out to lunch together in groups. That's not always what the introvert wants to do. So, this video is about what the introvert can do to kind of improve and build relationships at work to maybe make a more substantial, supportive social network than they have. Now, I can say that some of this may seem a little obvious. An introvert at work just naturally is not necessarily someone who doesn't want friends or relationships. An introvert at work will probably naturally find one or two people that they confide with and develop a friendship with. But an introvert may not feel super comfortable going outside of their social circle, or they may not really want to go along if they get invitations to big groups going together for lunch or going out afterwards for dinner or drinks or something like that. That is okay. But I want to share a couple of suggestions that introverts in a work environment can think about that maybe can make them feel a little bit more comfortable and maybe help other people understand a little bit better who they are, what their personality is like. For an introvert to say, no, I'm really going to pass on that group lunch, some people can feel like, that, well, that's offensive. That's insulting. You are rejecting us. You know what you can do? The simplest thing in the world is to let someone know, you know what? I'm actually an introvert. And so it's more natural for me to kind of just stick one on one or maybe with a couple of other people. Groups, because I'm an introvert, have just always been kind of funny situations for me to engage in. So it's nothing personal. It's not a rejection in any way. I'm just an introvert. But this is a really great way, first of all, to communicate, to let the people that you work with get to know you, and also to give them the benefit of the doubt and not have them judge you or not have them try to figure out what it means that you say no. You actually have a little bit more emotional intimacy in that moment by letting them know who you are, helping them understand your motivations. The other thing that introverts can do is they can also make an effort to stretch a little bit and go outside of their usual comfort zone. Maybe they just do a walk or a lunch with maybe the same one or two people. What about expanding that social network a little bit? Social support in life is one of the most important buffers for a person's mental health and physical health. And so, having really healthy, good relationships with friends at work can really go a long way, can have tremendous benefits. And while it may be good that you have one or two relationships with friends at work, expanding that network so that you feel more a part of an overall cohesive organization can really go a long way. So, what you can do is try to stretch by maybe making overtures to get to know maybe a couple other individuals better. Maybe ask a couple other individuals to go for a walk, go for a lunch. Now, one of the things that you can do when you spend time with someone from work, of course, is to share appropriately, of course, a little bit about yourself. Let them know how your weekend went. Let them know what some of your interests are. When you spend time with people at work, you can share a little bit about who you are and what your life is like. And you can ask questions about their life, but not too personally, though. I think it's really important. Work relationships can be healthy and really positive, but I think that crossing the line and making things too close at work, asking questions that are too personal, I think sometimes can actually make people feel uncomfortable. So, an example would be talking about your weekend and specific things that you did. Maybe you went to a festival, maybe you saw a great movie, as opposed to getting into the more extremely personal elements of one's emotional life and their outside life, one's relationships. Those things I think can kind of get a little bit messier at times in work relationships. So it is important to build relationships at work, even if you're an introvert. Expand your network a little bit, but just do it with some boundaries. So I guess one kind of way to close is to say it can be helpful to have someone get to know you, but to an extent, leaving certain personal items outside for personal relationships that don't have a work overlap. All right. I hope this video has been helpful. Have a good one, everybody.